So I mentioned earlier that I was in the automotive industry when that industry collapsed. And within a couple of months, our largest three customers that made up a very significant portion of our revenue had all gone bankrupt. And I thought, oh my goodness, this is going to be that defining moment in my finance career where I was heading up the finance team in a company that went bankrupt. And what are we going to do to survive this? And we really had to do some unthinkable things in that moment. And I think for me, as I sat there and we tried to mobilize what are we going to do plan, it really, for me, crystallized that critical role that finance sits at the heart of so many different parts of the organization, and how you really need to be able to know what's happening in those parts of the organization and work to leverage, because we really needed any and all ideas in order to get through that. And we had to do a number of things. We had to change what we were doing with employees. We had to put them on 2 or 3 day a week schedules. We had to eliminate some employee benefits. We had to reach out to our vendors to see if we could get longer payment terms. We had to reach out to other customers that could still pay to see if they could pay us sooner. And so we really had to mobilize a plan that touched on all the stakeholders of the company. And I honestly, as we were getting into it, thought, okay, this isn't going to work. Asking these things, this just seems so unthinkable. And I was amazed at how much the different parties were willing to play ball and come along with us. And the company, it was tough times for sure, not easy. But during that time, a lot of other companies did not survive through that. There were many suppliers that did shutter their doors. It ended up eliminating some of what I'd say was waste that was happening within that industry. And the other side of that, you came out of that stronger companies with better aligned cost structures. There were fewer competitors. Your relations with your customers were able to be stronger. And I think I learned 3 big lessons in that time. One, that crisis really teaches you what you're made of, and that some of that impossible is actually possible if you ask and you push. But secondly, it's how you really do need to help mobilize the team across, and sitting in finance, having people understand why you need to ask for those different things and helping to coordinate the different parts in the business. And I'd say the third part that was like a real aha moment for me is that we had so much trust and transparency and built up so much goodwill with stakeholders. And that's what we were really leaning on so heavily in that moment. And you never know when you need them, but some of the things I used to think were maybe waste of time. We don't need to walk the floors every day, getting to know every employee. There's, other work that's screaming at us, or, maybe we could have played more hardball sometimes with vendors, etc. But in that moment, a lot of the things that I had believed to be true and sometimes wondered about what we were doing were paying off, because we had those relationships and that goodwill with those stakeholders that really define the difference between our company surviving through that and other companies that weren't as fortunate.